Nai 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 yai nai nai yai nai 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 yai nai 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 yai nai 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 yai nai 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 yai nai 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 yai nai 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 yai nai 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 Let's turn to page 142 as we begin our service with these words of Shalom Aleichem, welcoming the angels in our midst. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So at this time we are going to turn not just to the angels that accompany us on Shabbat, but perhaps the angels in our midst, around us. I invite you to say hello to your neighbor at this time. Perhaps get out of your seat and meet someone new. Lots of new faces in our midst. We feel blessed with peace. Halfway down the page, on page 142, or on our screens, Barchuni L'Shalom. Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So before we begin, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We have people here, which is really nice, as well as on Zoom. It's great to see everyone. We have many new members of our community here this evening. It's great to welcome you on Shabbat. We have many non-members who live in Boston, but are originally from Israel. And so we welcome you to our community as well. And it's great to welcome Nadav Tamir back to our community. We will be hearing from Nadav later in our service, but many of you may remember him from his time as Consul General. 2006 to 2010. It's been a while, but served our community so well. So we will be hearing from Nadav later in the service. I am told that since we just got back into the sanctuary after Yom Kippur, so things aren't completely set up yet. and there aren't as many prayer books under the seats as there normally are. And we can't find the clicker to the visual. Oh, great. So if you don't have a prayer book underneath your seat, you'll look up at the screens. You'll have to go with the new possibility. So let us now turn to page, if you're using the prayer book, 120, 121. And I'd like to call upon Hannah Taylor, who is a recent graduate of the Hebrew Union College. And they have not only a rabbinical school and a cantorial school and an educational school, but a school of nonprofit management. And so you have a master's in public administration? Yes. So mazel tov. So will you light candles for us this evening?
Let's join with this reading on the screen. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Let's join together.
And we have a special Shel Shabbat V'Shel Yom Tov as tonight begins our Sukkot holiday. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat V'Shel Yom Tov. Thank you. Good job.
Continuing, Lachadodi, page 138.
Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha.
Beloved, come to meet the bride.
Hishmi'anu
Come to greet Shabbat.
ha'miyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem u'l'tiferet v'litila
Likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala מחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה. Fifth stanza. התעוררי כי באורך אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך בגללך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת נקבלה. la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. For the last stanza, if you're able, please rise as we turn and face the rear of the sanctuary, welcoming Shabbat. Gam besimcha ubetzohala. We welcome Shabbat. Some bow left and right. We welcome Shabbat. Likrat kala, o penei Shabbat nekabela, o lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela, penei Shabbat nekabela. Page 394, Baruchu, the call to worship. Respond as one together. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Yadai lai lai, yadai lai lai, yadai lai lai, yadai lai lai. Let's be seated, and if you have a prayer book, at the bottom of page 397, let's read this passage together for Sukkot. The colors of early evening sky blend and deepen, allowing new lights to be seen, twinkling through the branches, the promise that in darkness new light will be revealed. And so we continue on page 396, a prayer for the beauty of creation and the passing from night to day, day to night.
We can join with these words, or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, and then we'll continue privately. Or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. We'll do that again. Or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Twice more. You can add a harmony if you'd like. Or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Once more. Or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yivro merim malchutei yesharim v'nei hamen shel yitzim v'cholim v'tas merim
Continuing independently, page 396. Page 400, we center ourselves. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
The Shema continues on the next page. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Page 406. We continue with the Song at the Sea, that moment of redemption, with the hopes that by doing mitzvot, by doing deeds of loving kindness, we can lead to a better world. And this being the evening of Sukkot, we recite Mi Chamocha to a Sukkot festival melody.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat hilot oseh feleh, malchutecha ra'u v'necha, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פרעה ארוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 408.
We focus on these words, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, this being our Sukkot holiday. We ask God to create that shelter of peace over us. Let's join with the familiar melody and then we'll add the words. Lines down. Ufros aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot once again, ufros, ufros, aleinu, sukat, sukat, shelomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
If you're able, please rise, page 460.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach. Open up our lips so we may praise your name. Open up our hearts so we can feel open up our souls. Open up our souls to let our love make us whole. And we will praise.
We will praise your name,
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, fi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el, Hagadol, Hagibor, ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chaste Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rab lehoshia, Morid hatal. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Mi chamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melech, melech mimit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. On page 473, we recite this special Sukkot insert at the top of the page. Livracha velo liklala, lechaim velo lemavet, lesova velo lerazon. In English, for blessing and not for curse, for life and not death, for abundance, not want. Ata kadosh v'shimecha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue independently with the words found in the prayer book. We're recognizing that it's Sukkot, our harvest festival, the Thanksgiving. We think of 7 things for which we're grateful. So 7 things for which you're grateful, or the prayers of the prayer book. When you've thought of 7 things, or you're ready, we'll be seated. So in Yom Kippur, we talked about Golda Meir and the 73 War and her line, we have no other place to go. For the past many months during the protests, we've been singing this song. So I share it with our visitors to Temple Beth Elohim. It's a song which will be familiar to many of those who are born in Israel and represents what is taking place in so many different ways. I won't share more. I'm going to wait for Nadav. But that first line, that I have no other land.
Ein li eretz acheret, gam im admati boeret, rak mila b'ivrit choderet, el orkai el nishmati, beguf ko'ev, belev ra'ev, kan hu beiti, lo eshtok ki artsi shinta et paneha, lo avatel azkila ve'ashir kan be'ozneha shetifkach et eineha. We're going to skip over the lullabies that you might know from Israeli radio or perhaps your youth. We'll end. Ein li eretz acheret ad shetechadesh yameha ad shetifkach et eineha.
Page 371, we have an opportunity to offer prayers for healing for those in our world, in our community, and in our closest circle who are in need. And so if there's anyone that you are praying for tonight, as is our custom at TBE, we invite you to rise so that clergy can come around to you and hear those names.
Beagle.
Page 371.
Mi shebera avotenu mikol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Ishevera imotenu mikol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And we also want to lift up our moments of joy that we share in community. It is a Shehechianu moment all by itself because it is the first night of Sukkot. We have made it to this wonderful holiday, but we'd also love to lift up any birthdays or anniversaries in the community this past week. Anyone here have a Shehechianu moment, a birthday and anniversary to share? No, quiet week. We know Mark over on the piano, yes? You had a birthday this week, or is it coming up? Mazal tov to you. On Sunday. Mazal tov in advance. Beautiful. Well, in that case, we all get to say Shehechianu because we have reached Sukkot. So we can join together, 6:48, or up on the screen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh.
So before Nadav speaks, I just want to share a brief word to kind of put this in context as an American Jew for us, because we have a lot to be grateful for in America. Our founders did something pretty extraordinary that we often take for granted. If you think about it, we vote for senators every 6 years. We vote for a president every 4 years and representatives every 2 years. There's always a different election cycle. In Israel, it doesn't work that way. Everyone's voted for at the same time, pretty much. And how many senators' districts are there? In Israel, 1. In America, we have 50 states, but how many districts for representatives? What's that? 435 separate districts. Then we have senators that come from different districts. Thank you. Plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. In Israel, everyone's elected at the same time from one district, which means the politics, the election cycle is very different than in America, where at least we can have some patience that the whole government doesn't get flipped very quickly. To make constitutional amendments in America, what's required? The states, which have their own representatives that are elected at different times in different districts. Not in Israel. So we have so many protections, and yet even despite the protections that the founders set up for us, we still have constitutional crises. Some very recent, that were very scary not too long ago, and we know how fragile democracy is. But the American system and the Israeli system are very different. And that's what makes what's taking place in Israel, I think, in my opinion, so important for us to understand the vulnerability of a young democracy. We have 200 years behind us of struggle and constitutional decisions, and Israel lacks that sense of history of a modern state. And that's just naming just a sliver of the complexities, and that's why we have Nadav here. So I just want to say Nadav is the executive director of J Street Israel, but I had the honor of meeting him many years ago as he was studying at the Kennedy School as part of the Wexner program. He has served in the Israeli Foreign Ministry. In 1993, he joined and served in multiple roles, including political officer at the Israeli Embassy in Washington, D.C. Then in 2006, as I mentioned earlier, he was named Israeli Consul General to New England, a position he held here until 2010. Upon returning to Israel, he joined the Policy Planning Unit of the Israeli Foreign Ministry, where he served until accepting the position of senior advisor to the president of Shimon Peres, where I think one of our groups had the honor of visiting you at the Peres Center, an extraordinary place. And we have an extraordinary man with us today. So Nadav, will you present to our community? Thanks for being here. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rabbi Sissenwein, and thank all of you for opening your home to me. There are some specific people that I really want to acknowledge. We have the team of J Street here. First of all, the chair of the board of J Street, the outcoming chair, Ambassador Alan Salomon, who's also marking the yahrzeit of your father today. And we have the co-chairs of the New England J Street, Elaine Landis and Nancy Bach. And we have Michael Gilman, who is our man in this congregation. And we have Shula Gilad, who is one of the Israelis or organizing the support for Israeli democracy from here. And I want to tell all of you Israelis here that we hear your voice loud and clear in Israel, and it's very empowering, and your support is very important. I also want to mention another, not ambassador, but a son of ambassador, one of the best ambassadors Israel ever had, Gidi Argov, who actually created a program for diplomacy at Reichman University in the name of his father, and is a great friend as well. And I'm sure there are so many others that I did not mention, but thank you, all of you, for coming. As Rabbi Sissenwein told you, when I came here for the first time as part of the Wexner program, Shula was in charge of us Wexners, and she brought Rabbi Sissenwein to explain to us what Reform Judaism was. I'm so shocked how ignorant we were before that experience. But just to show you that Rabbi Sissenwein was the most impressive of all those who presented to us the different denominations, when we came back to Israel, my daughters joined the Reform movement, youth movement, Atnu'a Leyadut Mitkademet, and we became members of the Tzur Hadassah Reform congregation. So you made a change, but I rewarded, the Boston area, because the year we came to Wexner in 2004, we actually were able to reverse the curse of the Bambino, and the Red Sox won. So it was, we helped each other along the way. So this is a very important moment in Israel's history. And probably you heard many Israelis along the years telling you this is a historical moment. But this is a really historical moment. And not only because 75 years after independence, 50 years after the Yom Kippur War, and I heard about your sermon about the Yom Kippur War, which I will touch on later, and 30 years after Oslo, we have today in Israel a moment that will define the future of Israel. It's a crisis, and during crisis, many people are very anxious and afraid. But I have to tell you that I was never as optimistic about the future of Israel, and I will explain why. I do believe that my country, my beloved country, I'm saying it as a progressive Zionist, needs a change of course. And we needed it for many years. But for many years, we were asleep. The liberal majority of Israel was asleep. My friends in Tel Aviv used to wait for their exit of their startup, enjoying the great culinary scene in Tel Aviv, and were in complete denial about everything that was going on. And the whole energy was on the other side. It was with the settlers, the Messianic settlers, it was the ultra-Orthodox who wanted to tell us how to be Jewish, it was the corrupt politicians, and the majority of liberals. We know it's a majority because we see in every survey that majority of Israelis support the two-state solution, majority of Israelis believe that in LGBTQ rights, majority of Israelis believing in more separation between state and religion, but they never acted on it. And that's why it was never manifested politically. But now, it's a totally different story. We have people that, I used to tell my Tel Avivian friends that knew nothing about the occupation, they knew nothing about what's going on beyond the Green Line, that they're enjoying the jacuzzi on the Titanic. And because one day they will, reach this moment that, we will have to decide, what are we? Are we a democracy? Are we a homeland for the Jewish people? We won't be able to be both. But they didn't really care. And they said, we cannot solve it anyhow. And there were always excuses. There is no partner. For me, those excuses were always against the Zionist ethos, because the Zionist ethos always, as the way I understood it, the way I learned it from my mentor, Shimon Peres, who learned it from his mentor, Ben-Gurion, was that the role of Zionism was to change the destiny of the Jewish people from an object of history to a subject of history, which means that we're not waiting for, the Gentiles to create our destiny. We're not dealing with the blame game. We are taking our destiny in our own hand. And if we think that this occupation is leading to a one-state catastrophe where we will lose our identity, we have to do something about it with no excuses. So this moment, when all those Tel Avivians who were completely in denial are awake, and it's amazing, people who didn't know anything about politics or ideology now quoting Montesquieu and can tell you everything about separation of power and checks and balances, that is a huge opportunity. So I can understand why most of my friends are very much anxious and fearful, and they are so I would say, disgusted by the government that we have, and I can understand it. But I really want to bring you an optimistic perspective about what's going on. I learned from my mentor, Shimon Peres, that optimists and pessimists die the same way, but they live very differently. And to be an optimist is not only more healthy and more fun, it's also more constructive, because pessimists see the threats, they see the obstacles, optimists see the opportunities, and then they do something about it. And, I saw it in my diplomatic career, that when you say, oh, we have no partner for peace, eventually you will have no partner for peace. When you say the whole world is against us, the whole world will be against you, because there's self-fulfilling prophecies, a very strong phenomena in human behavior. But when you use hope, when you inject hope, good things are happening. This is what Ben-Gurion did, even though he knew that declaring a state is very dangerous and we're going to be attacked by 5 militaries. This is what Begin did when Sadat made the move. And this is, by the way, one of my frustrations about the whole talk now about the Yom Kippur War, which is also very much kind of increased because of the film Golda, great play by Helen Mirren, by the way, because of all the archives that got opened, because so many things are, but people all talk about the fact that why we were too kind of sure of ourselves and we didn't mobilize in time. But for me, the most important lesson of the Yom Kippur War is that the same suggestion of Sadat that Begin accepted was on the table before the war. And we could have saved one of the most traumatic wars in Israel's history if we were more open for peace. And this is what I want my country to be, more open for peace, because, for many years I asked Shimon Peres, when did you make this transition from being someone who take care always of security, creating, the textile factory in Dimona, and all the other security things that he worked on, to being a peacenik and focus on diplomacy. And he said it was the moment that I understood that we're strong enough and that our neighbors understand that we are here to stay. And he said this moment happened a long time ago. And so many of us still think that we're in a survival mode, and instead of doing what we really need to help us save the Zionist dream by doing something serious and taking our destiny in our own hands, we're falling into all those excuses. So I want to explain to you why I think this moment is so important in Israel's history. I know that most of the people who are demonstrating here are not demonstrating about the things that I care most, which is the occupation and also the lack of equality for Palestinian citizens of Israel. They are there because of what people call the judicial reform, or what we call the regime coup. They are there because they feel the ultra-Orthodox are trying to create a state where, women, LGBTQ, and even secular Jews will not be welcome. But I believe that we're starting to see a movement that more and more people are making the connection that to be a real liberal is not only to care about your rights. To be a real liberal is to care about rights for everyone, and that democracy is not only for Jews, and that we will not have a democracy with occupation. And they're starting to connect the dots that the same people that are going after our democracy are the same people that want to annex the West Bank, and the same people that want to put us in this one-state catastrophe that will end the Zionist dream. And that's why I'm very optimistic. You asked me to say more about how I think things will move about. So I will say that I learned that nobody knows the future. Nobody predicted, the end of apartheid. Nobody predicted the revolution, the Khomeini revolution in Iran. Nobody predicted the Arab Spring. So I know that, we have to be pretty humble about telling what the future is going to be. I'm saying it as someone who was considered an expert on American politics and gave too many interviews explaining why Trump cannot win the elections in 2016. So I have to be humble in predicting the future. But I know one thing. By the way, I learned it from one of my professors at the Kennedy School, Marshall Gantz, who told us that to be a change agent, you need two things. You need the combination of a critical mind and a hopeful heart. And I believe that if we will fall to despair, we will not win. But if we will understand that now that when the energy is in our hands, we could change the future of our country and create what was needed for so long, which are three kinds of borders. Border between the power of the majority and the rights of the minorities and the individuals, border between state and religion, and border between us and our Palestinian neighbors. And I believe that eventually this government, the most awful government in Israel's history, will fall because it's not sustainable. Right now they're holding to each other because they see in the polls that they're going to lose an elections. But eventually there will be some of them who will think, this is not leading to anything good, when maybe we should be the first who jump from the government. And by the way, this is usually what happens in Israeli politics. Whenever a government loses popularity, first they hold together because they're afraid of elections, and then there is someone who thinks, I'll be the first to jump, and then I will lead the next Likud, and that's what's happening. So if we will go to a constitutional crisis, which might happen if the government does not accept the ruling of the Supreme Court, I believe that the most important sectors in Israeli society, the military, Shabak, Mossad, the high-tech, they will follow the law, they will not follow the government. It's quite clear. And when that will happen, I think there will be enough members of Likud who will say, this is too much. Netanyahu, who we thought will be the magician who always brings us money and honor and jobs, became from an asset to a liability, and they will move out. If we won't go there, and Netanyahu will do some kind of a compromise, maybe because of the Saudi deal, or because the international pressure, the economic pressure, then he will lose his partners, because they will say, this is not why we went to this coalition. If the Haredim cannot get the law of exemption from service, why do we need this government? If Ben-Gvir cannot have his own militia and change the life of Palestinian citizens of Israel to even less than second-class citizens. If Smotrich cannot really annex the West Bank, they will say, this is not what we promised to our constituencies. So I don't think this government is sustainable. I think in the first half of 2024, they will fall. And then it will be the moment of truth for the liberal camp. Can we translate this great energy that, it's amazing. I mean, I hear people from Poland and Hungary saying, if we only had this energy, we wouldn't be where we are in kind of an illiberal democracy. We will have to translate it into political power, and we will have to put on the ballot some kind of a constitutional framework and an initiative to do something about the most important threat to Israeli future, in my mind, which is the occupation. We will need the support of the American Jewish community, and we will need the support of the American politics. And that's why we need you badly. I know there are some Israelis who say, no, you don't live there, you don't send your kids to the military, you don't pay taxes, you have no voice. So I think this is a betrayal of the mission statement of Israel. Israel is supposed to be not only the home of Israelis, it's the homeland of the Jewish people, which means it's the home of each one of you. And we cannot expect you to be our ATM or our lobby or our reservoir for immigration without listening to your voice. So your voice is important, and don't be shy. And I always said that American Jews understand better what it means to be a minority. Israeli Jews forgot. American Jews better what it means to be in a mainly Christian country, and that you need a separation of state and religion. So American Jews could help us, the liberals in Israel, to win this historic moment and to change the course of our country. So we need you. And when someone tells you you have no voice in Israel, you still have a voice in American politics. And I know at least one organization that can help you translate this vote into a policy that will help Israel to remain a homeland for the Jewish people and a democracy. So thank you so much for this opportunity and for opening your home. And anytime you call me, I'm on a plane coming to speak here at Temple Beth Elohim. Thank you so much.
Tempted to ask another question, but it's 7 o'clock. So let's sing. What are we going to sing?
I thought we could all turn to page 652 in light of your words.
And then rather than my question, after services, Nadav is going to stick around a little bit, correct? I hope, in the atrium to be able to answer some questions. Fantastic. He said he always does what rabbis tell him to do. It doesn't.
So I think just our voices will be enough in this moment. When I think about the words of Arik Einstein, I think that surely together we can make a difference. So I think it's up to us now to work with our brothers and sisters abroad to make the changes we wish to see in this world. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam, 652. Ani ve'ata az yavou kfar kulam amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishane et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata ninaseh me'hatchala. Yeh lanu ra, ein davar ze lo nora. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishaneh. Ani ve'ata nishaneh et ha'olam.
So for our guests, and my question for Nadav, one of them would be, we have our first Reform rabbi in the Knesset, Gilad Kariv. Now, I have mixed emotions about this because rabbis in the Knesset are not always the best things. I'd like to think a Reform rabbi in the Knesset would be a little better. But his party is shrinking. And so my question is, as Reform Jews, is our party shrinking or is it growing? And if our rabbinic presence is in labor right now. And as a Reform movement, we're looking to stand up. And we haven't really been able to. So I hope our partnership through what has been taking place over these past several months allows us to be able, as a liberal American Jewish community, to find Israeli partners in America and in Israel to help move the ball forward in that optimistic direction. And it sounds like your optimism derives largely from the fact that the government will fall from the left or from the right, whether it be right-wingers bolting from Saudi Arabia or another issue, or left-wingers bolting because the price is too high for a constitutional compromise or whatever it is, or the protests, and that will cause elections to take place again. And then we just need to get involved again. So we'll stop here, but we're going to ask him lots of questions. I want to thank Gideon for speaking on Yom Kippur, and Michael and our committee, and Deb Goldstein for helping, and Shula for coordinating. There are a lot of events, so I've asked Rabbi Kalman just to share a few things coming up.
So the first thing coming up is right after services. We're going to have a little bit of a different setup. Our oneg is moved to the Beit Midrash down the hallway so that we can gather in the atrium with Nadav, but also with Memi Ish Shalom, who's the artist behind our beautiful piece that's been in our atrium for all of the holidays that has really been such a beautiful way to start some conversations about what's happening in Israel. So we're very grateful. So we'll have an opportunity to speak with Memi and Nadav out in the atrium. There's also concurrently the oneg, and everyone from the atrium can head down to the oneg after in the Beit Midrash. If you are feeling inspired, wanting to do something in this moment, October 20th to the 23rd, for about 7 seconds, we're going to Israel. And we're going to be in Tel Aviv for the protest Saturday evening, have a lineup of incredible speakers. Direct flights leave out of Boston. And so direct flights on LL coordinate with those dates. If you would like to go, I'm going. Please join me. I have all the information if you have any questions. We're really looking forward to it. We have lots of things coming with Israel that we're really excited about. Rabbi Naama Daphne Kellen will be here in November, the week of November 4th. We've got lots of programming with her and our sister congregation, Or Chadash. And November 17th, we have Michael Oren, who's going to be here, former ambassador. So we're really looking forward to all of our Israel programming. Susan Alvarez-Correa is our VP of Klal Yisrael. So if you have any questions about Israel or want to get more involved, talk to her or to myself. We're really looking forward to some big things coming.
Shula, where are you? There were 2 events you wanted to plug. Do you want to shout it out? Because I didn't see my email.
So first of all, thank you so much for hosting us again. This is not the first time that Rabbi Sissenwein has invited me to bring in friends that are very, very different from the congregation, from different places in the world to speak. And I'm so, so grateful because it has taken us a far way. But in any case, we as organizers in the community, and some of us are here with us today for the protests, are doing 2 more events in different congregations. One on October 2nd, we're going to have Orly Bar-Lev, who is one of the leaders of the protest movement in Israel. She's an independent journalist and an activist, has been. So everybody in Israel knows Orly. She's coming here for just a few hours to meet the community here and to tell us about the protest in Israel. From San Francisco here to Washington, after she's been in New York and Los Angeles and wherever, hopping every day to another place. So we invite you all. That will be October 2nd at 7:30 at Mishkan Tfilah, the congregation Mishkan Tfilah. And then on October 5th, we're having another event, again with Nadav Tamir. It'll be a longer conversation, discussion, and an exchange. That's going to be at TBZ, October 5th at 7:30.
Great.
And if you have any questions, well, you can find Noam. He's he's our musician and comes to all the places, or find me. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity.
Let's all rise. Page 586, if you're able. The words are Aleinu, a prayer that tomorrow may be better than today by our activities of engaging in the world.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגוד עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך
We think of those in our community. Not sure my mic is working. Thank you. We think of those in our community who are no longer with us, whether we have lost them in this past month, our family members, our parents in the past year, or if we are observing the anniversary of their death, their yahrzeit, this Shabbat. If you are thinking of someone and would like to remember them, we ask you to rise if you're here with us in the room, recite their name as well as your relationship to them. If you are with us on Zoom, please place their name in our chat so that we can remember them as well. Yes, Ben. Yes, please. Did we miss anyone over here? We also remember those in our community who have died in the past month. Gil Aliber, Julian Busgang, James Gieser, Malcolm Myers, Irving Perlmutter, Marjorie Kimball Salter, Andrew Thoreen, Carol Whitehorn. And we have been asked to read the yahrzeits of Stanley Becker and Joseph Goldstein, Mel Suffren, and Bernard Waterman. Let's rise as a community in support of our mourners as we turn to page 598 to recite the words of the Mourners' Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yikadash Shmei Rabbah, Be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'b'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shmei Kudusha Richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi Shalom Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
I was reading a story from the Talmud today about a time in an ancient Sukkot ritual where the priest did something that the people didn't like and they pelted him with etrogs. So don't do that to me as I read some announcements. So I'm going to go backwards. October 7th, that is next Saturday, we will be celebrating Simchat Torah in the morning with our Yizkor service. And then in the evening, please join us for our keynote speaker, Sarah Hurwitz, with a dinner before. The registration for that dinner closes on Sunday, so please join us and please register this weekend. The night before, we welcome in Simchat Torah, Erev Simchat Torah on October 6th, including dancing with the amazing band Ezekiel's Wheels. So come and celebrate our Torah together. Working one day backwards, Thursday, October 5th, is RJI's quarterly meeting in the Sukkah, starting at 6:30. And outside our tzedakah box, all of the tzedakah from the month of October is benefiting TBE's environmental initiatives. So please do a mitzvah when you are in over the course of the week. Is that everything? We did it. All
You
right.
did a great job, Rabbi.
Oh, I have one
drugs.
more. In addition to the oneg and the Beit Midrash, if you would like to take up the lulav and etrog and shake it, you'll have an opportunity. We'll help you with that.
You can also do it in the morning, starting at 10.
Amazing.
last reminder, we're going to end in song Kiddush and Motzi. Then, Memi, if you will stand by your art and people can see and interact with the artist, others will go right to the Oneg, and Nadav is going to stay in the atrium as well for questions.
We're going to do a special festival Kiddush. Cantor Rosenberg's doing a lot of different things. We're going to do that, and then we're going to do Motzi, and then we're going to end with words, V'samachta b'chagecha, which means you shall rejoice in your festival, and you shall have nothing but joy. So let's join in the joy of Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hakafe.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'am, ורוממנו מכל השון, וקידשתנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה שבתות למנוחה ומועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון, את יום השבת הזה ואת יום חג הסוכות הזה, זמן לשמחתנו, מקרא קודש זכר יציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת ומועדי קודשך באהבה וברצון, בשמחה ובששון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת בישראל והזמנים.
L'chaim. We're going to uncover the challah and raise it together as we join with Motzi. Julie, go ahead and take that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat Shalom, we join together with these words, V'samachta b'chagecha, very Hasidic. V'samachta b'chagecha, v'hayita, ach sameach, sameach. V'samachta b'chagecha, v'hayita, ach sameach. V'samachta b'chagecha, v'hayita, ach sameach. V'samachta b'chagecha, v'hayita, ach sameach. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Chag Sameach and
Chag
happy
Sameach.
early birthday to Mark.